What's going on, guys? Coming back with another standard deck tech. This one is on Sidisi Whip or Sultai Whip, Sultai Reanimator, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to need y'all's help. Not so much with the main board, because the main board seems pretty solid. I've been winning quite a few games with it. I've been really liking it, but the sideboard is extremely messy, and I'm going to need y'all's assistance on how to revamp it, y'all's advice. So hopefully y'all can help me out with that. But Sidisi Whip, it's a reanimator strategy, kind of like it's more mid-rangey than anything. My biggest issue I've been having with the deck is not the deck itself, it's me. I'm a control player. So every time I play any deck, I try to play it in a controlling fashion, and that just doesn't work. Trying to play Sidisi Whip as a control deck, while not totally ineffective, is definitely not the best way to pilot it, and I've been kind of having to shift gears over and get into the mindset of the deck, and as I continue to do so, I continue to get better. But when I show you the sideboard, you'll see why I desperately need y'all's help with it. But anyways, let's go ahead and start us out. Poor Sidisi Brood Tyrant. I'm going to show the mana base last here, just going to show off the spells first this time, do it backwards. For Sidisi Brood Tyrant, this is one of the namesakes of the deck because she's what allows you to get cards into your graveyard to reanimate later with Whip, and she also gives you a pretty decent supply of creatures. Whenever she comes into the battlefield or attacks, put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. And whenever one or more creatures are put into your graveyard from your library, you get a 2/2 black zombie. I wish it was a 2/2 black zombie per creature, but she's still a great way to give us some creatures in the battlefield while filling our graveyard for reanimation effects. And even if you don't use her, you use something like Sidisi Wayfinder, you'll still get tokens out of it. Let's see if I can't get y'all a better view on this. There we go. 2 copy of Tazagor the Golden Fang. Most times he just serves as a 4/5 body for a single black, but his second ability has come in handy a couple of times. Whenever I'm, I have like a mana confluence or whatever land I milled away, sitting in the graveyard, and I put the top 2 cards into my graveyard, and I end up getting like another land and a Whip of Erebos or Hero's Downfall or what have you, and it can just give me what I need when I need it. But for the most part, it serves as a 4/5 body for a single black. Still very relevant. Very strong card to have. 2 Doomwake Giant. I've been debating putting one of these in the sideboard, but everyone keeps telling me to leave both main board. If you don't know what it does, whenever it or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, your opponent's creatures get -1/-1 till end of turn. So it can serve as removal for tokens. Definitely the worst enemy to Rebel Master and similar cards. If your opponent's playing Hornet Queen, it can be a great way to get rid of them. 4 Courser of Krufix, because we're in green and it's amazing, and why would we not run it? I shouldn't have to explain this one to you guys. You probably already know what it does. Same thing goes for the 4 Sylvan Caryata that we run on the board. It's just because we're running a 3-color deck that happens to use green, and getting a Hexproof Defender 0/3 for 2 that's got a Birds of Paradise ability attached to it. It's invaluable. 4 copy of Sidisi Wayfinder. These fill our graveyard for the delve mechanics, for Sidisi to give us tokens, and for us to get something like the next card I'll show you, which is Hornet Queen, for our Whip of Erebos to reanimate. So, Sidisi Wayfinder, very much an invaluable card. Then we have Hornet Queen. Fun little bit of speculation on the fact that this was a commander card printed in Modern, just like Scavenging Ooze. Gives me high hopes that True Name Nemesis will eventually hit the same same lines there. Maybe eventually we'll see True Name in Modern, but that might just be a pipe dream. But anyways, Hornet Queen is by far one of the most powerful cards in the deck. It hoses opponents' cards like Stormbreath Dragon, and nowadays, Atarka and Kalaghan, stuff like that. Being able to get a bunch of 1/1 flying Death Touch creatures as well as her, both when you hardcast her and when you reanimate her, is absurd. It's I've had opponents concede just when they see 2 Hornet Queen in the graveyard, Whip on the battlefield, and me casting Queen. It's just like game over. They quit right then and there. It gets ridiculous. 2 Torrent Elemental. Torrent Elemental is something that I'm trying here. A 3/5 for 5 flyer that when it attacks, you tap all your opponent's creatures, and you can pay 3 and 2 Golgari Hybrid mana to put it into play from exile at sorcery speed but it comes into play tapped, but still not bad. Worst case scenario, you delve it away, you have extra mana later in the game, just go ahead and bring it back. It doesn't hurt anything to have it. And even if you just had to reanimate it from the graveyard, you know that you can get it back later, so it can even serve as a quick 3 damage, tap your opponents out. 4 Whip of Erebos. Again, not really much to explain here. It gives us lifelink and allows us to reanimate our cards in our graveyards. Love that new artwork, by the way. Just so beautiful. But back on track. Just one of the parts of the namesake of the deck. Really strong. It's what helps us function. Without Whip of Erebos, I don't think we could play this deck. We could play, you know, like Sultai mid-range, but I don't know. I very much believe that after Theros rotates, this entire deck will be dead because we'll lose our Coursers and Doomwakes and everything. So, yep. But anyways, moving on. We have 3 copies of Hero's Downfall because they are just such powerful removal, killing creatures or planeswalkers. Then 3 copies of Murderous Cut to deal with creatures. Most times we're casting this for a single black, so I see some decks running 4. I don't really like 4 in the main board. It's not completely dead all the time. And then 2 copies of Thoughtseize for the last of our spells, just to go ahead and knock cards out of our opponent's hand, or in some cases I've actually used it to knock my own Horny Queen out of my hand so that I can reanimate it for a cheaper cast. Into the land, I run 4 copies of Opulent Palace, just because we're moving a little slower with the mid-range deck, so we don't mind the tap land so much, and that mana fixing is just invaluable. 4 copies of Llanowar Wastes, 2 copies of Yavimaya Coast, and 1 copy of Mana Confluence makes up our Pain land base. I'm not going to explain the lands too much. They're pretty self-explanatory. It's just mana fixing. 2 Temple of Malady for Scry. 1 Temple of Mystery for the same purpose. Then I run 2 Polluted Delta and Evolving Wilds for deck thinning, fetching, delve fodder, so on and so forth. 3 Forests, which I need to get some more full art forests. 2 Swamp, and a single island. So this is my my main board for the Sidisi Whip deck. Now this is doing me just fine. I haven't really had too many issues with it, and it's a very strong game 1 against a variety of decks. And the issue is not that it gets weaker post-board, it's that post-board my sideboard is not set up to give me a lot of advantage, whereas a lot of other decks are very well prepped for Sidisi Whip, and I'm not really as prepped for them. So I could very much use y'all's advice on the sideboard, but I'll show you what I currently have. Going with 1 Farika, God of Affliction. I'm going to bring this in against mid-range decks, so that way I can just kind of, get some cards out of my graveyard and get a 1/1 Death Touch Snake. It's not very often that I want to give it one to my opponent, but there are some cards that I don't want them having in their graveyard. And if we're playing the mirror match, it's not terrible to go ahead and say, okay, I'm going to get rid of your Hornet Queen, but have a 1/1 Death Touch Snake. So it's not terrible in the mirror match, but it's mostly for getting cards out of my graveyard for some quick 1/1 Death Touch blockers. 1 Sultai Charm. Can serve as spot removal from monocolored creatures, can destroy artifacts or enchantments, or can give me some draw power. Not really strong enough to want to run main board, but a lot of the time I'll put it in the main, or I can't even speak. A lot of times I'll put it into the board based on the middle ability to naturalize something, but also the versatility is what makes it not a terrible card. I'm not so fond of the charm, but I've definitely seen worse cards. 1 Reality Shift is in here for cards like Sarkin and other cards we just really don't want our opponents to get more use out of. Again, it can still deal with the mirror match where we can get rid of their Hornet Queen, and that way they only get 1 use out of it as opposed to 2. 2 copy of Negate for the very spell heavy, the very non-creature heavy decks. 3 Disdainful Strokes because mid-range is such a big deal. Singleton Dark Betrayal, because a lot of the decks out there like Abzan mid-range and Mardu mid-range are packing a lot of big black creatures. 1 Silence the Believers, 1 Bile Blight, 1 Drowned in Sorrow, and 1 Murderous Cut for some additional removal in the sideboard. And then 2 Reclamation Sage, which come in against decks like Jeskai Ascendancy combo, Temur Ascendancy combo, Blue-Black Control if they're on the Vault build of it. Constellation decks, Mono-Green Devotion decks, Sidisi Whip decks in the mirror match, once again, because it can blow up the Whip, it can blow up the Coursers, it can blow up the Doomwakes. It's a very good card, but the sideboard is sloppy here, and I'm going to be the first to admit that. This sideboard is absolutely sloppy. It needs a lot of work. So let me know what you guys think. How can I improve it? What are you guys running? What is working for you? And maybe I can try that out and see how it does for me. But until next time, I hope you all enjoyed the video. And if y'all want to see more deck techs on standard decks and modern decks and more gameplay, let me know. Post down in the comments what you guys want to see, and I'll do my best to get some videos out there. But until then, I'll catch y'all later.